Hey, everybody, thanks for quickly stopping by. This past weekend, I was a guest on the Final Scoop podcast, and I had one of the best times ever. To be honest, it was very, very humbling having had my own podcast for 7 years and never being short or nervous on words, anything, but going on someone else's. It was definitely eye opening. But the long story short, I had a great time. I've known everybody on the panel for years and just a great bunch of people. I would highly, highly recommend, following the show. It drops every Saturday where you can interact live or catch it on the replay. But again, to both Roberts, to Lucas and Shane, thank you so much for making me even a closer part of your family, and enjoy the show, guys. Thank you very much.
There we go. Software finally woke up. We are live, gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of the Final Scoop podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky, the supplement engineer. Joining me, as always, is my international band of brothers, Robert Samborski, Apollo Nutrition, Lucas Rutkowski, Prometheus Intelligence Sports Technology, Shane Lightly Dosed Smith, Stack.com. And joining us this week, special guest, the host of Sup Talk Radio, Mr. Sean Chance. Welcome, my friends. For those of you tuning in on the live stream, we appreciate you joining us each and every week here. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and give us a 5-star review in iTunes. If you do that, that helps us climb up in the almighty algorithm and spread the good word to all the other people that are looking for decent quality supplement, fitness, training, nutrition advice out there. So yeah, with that said, how are we all doing, gentlemen?
Wonderful. Happy to be here.
Great having you, Sean.
Glad to have you on, man.
Thank you.
Outstanding. All right, so for the listeners tuning in on the live stream, get all of your questions in. We will answer everything and anything you guys have to throw at us, plus the queue of topics that I've been assembling over the weeks. We will get to each and everything here, but before we get into all of that, let's learn a little bit more about our special guest today. So, Sean, give us a little bit of a background, how you got into this and what you do and whatnot.
Sure. Well, again, Robert, thank you for having me. And again, it's a blessing to be amongst all of you. I know, Robert, you and I talk weekly. Shane, I know you and I have history. And Lucas, again, Lucas is probably one of my first followers 7 years ago when I started Sup Talk Radio, and he's still with me. So I appreciate that. Without boring everybody too much, I started working out like most people. I was a 5'8", 140-pound skinny string bean, hit the weights, started supplementing. This is going back quite some time. I was a big EAS metrics and Twin Labs guy back in the day. Fast forward a few years later, I actually competed in a couple of but level 1 NPC bodybuilding shows. Just to kind of wet my beak, wanted to go ahead and walk the walk and see how it did. Fast forward, went to Florida State University, have my degree in nutrition and exercise physiology. And then throughout that, I was a store manager of a vitamin shop, or Vitamin World, I should say. And then fast forward 2013, I started Sup Talk Radio. I started it as a platform for the smaller companies that were having great products that were getting buried by the multi-million-dollar ad campaigns. To give them the voice. And, long story short, here we are 7 years later. I'm still learning, making great friends along the way. And again, I'm happy to be here.
Outstanding, Sean. That was very interesting. I didn't realize that was your background.
Yeah, I had no clue
What was the very first supplement you ever used?
Oh, gosh. So I was one of those liver tablet people, the big horse pills where you take 6 to 8. So, yes, I'm dating myself here. And I think the second product I took was a Twin Labs Heavyweight Gainer 2500. It was literally like 2 cups of milk and however many scoops, it was 2,500 calories. And I would take 2 of those a day because, again, just to try to put on weight. And as I ate more, my metabolism got faster. And now fast forward now, I try not to eat because my metabolism is slow as hell.
Outstanding. Are you still involved with nutrition, health, and fitness for your full-time job, or are you doing Sup Talk Radio full-time? What's that?
No, so Sup Talk is a hobby. So I actually work as a talent acquisition manager for a cancer company here in Boston. So, indirectly, I'm still involved in health, but obviously helping people either extend their lives with cancer treatments or if not, trying to help cure.
Outstanding. Excellent. All right, I will open the questions up to Lucas, Robbie, Shane. You got any arrows you want to fire at Sean before we dive into the melee that is the comment section and questions?
Sean, actually, I have a question because you're one of those guys that I have utmost respect for. Always entertaining, always nice, kind, and always well spoken. But you said you had Sub Talk since when? 2013?
Correct.
Since 2013, we're talking roughly 8 years. In your opinion, the supplement industry, and this is strictly your opinion, this doesn't mean anything else, has supplement industry evolved, meaning improved, or you think that from what you see, it's not as good as it used to be 8 years ago, or perhaps when you used to work for Vitamin World, and etc.?
So yes and no. So 2013, I would probably say, gosh, maybe 80 to 90% of formulations are all prop blends. So fast forward now, I would like to think it's the opposite. I'd like to say 70 to 80% are now fully disclosed, transparent. So I appreciate that. I think, ingredients and whatnot have obviously advanced, but I think in the last few years, I think we've almost plateaued now, where everybody's using, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the same ingredients are being used now. So I'm at the point, yes, it's great that everybody's using the same ingredients and they're using the same efficacious dosages, but I think that there needs to be some kind of shakeup. Instead of, making that new great tasting this or a new flavor of that, we need something groundbreaking. I know, watching Bruce's episode with you guys a few weeks ago, he's got some new pump formula that's behind the scenes, and I've heard that, there's other caffeine analogs maybe that are being made, but it's not negative. I just think we need some shakeup. We need something to kind of invigorate the industry just a little bit.
Okay.
I can say that Bruce is coming with something more interesting. So stay tuned, man. It's gonna be really, really solid.
Are you talking about in addition to the pump ingredient, Lucas, or
Yes.
you like a stim you're talking about?
Yeah. Something new is coming. So yeah, stay tuned. I can't tell anything more, but I got some insights, and it's gonna be really innovative, and so yeah, I'm excited. So I already tried the 3D pump, and
Yeah.
I can tell you guys, it's so on point. We need like new ingredients. We need like innovative stuff. So I'm excited for new ingredients. But
Yeah,
I
but
wanted to,
my question is the 3D pump, is it actually innovative? Because it's using three things that are already found in formulas all over the place. So you've got a source of polyphenols, you got glycerol, and you got citrulline. So
you know what? I think that it can be stacked with other products,
yeah.
and that's when the innovation comes in. Plus, you can use it also like solely, and I think that in this particular dosage that Bruce and his team is utilizing, I think it can be solid. So yeah, man.
Is that stim? Is that the one that I think he was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he gave to like NutriBio and Redcon? Or is it something different?
I think it's something different.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I know Ron's stim's still, Thermolife, their stim coming.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The stem that you've been sampling, right?
Yeah, man, that dude, those guys like to keep it on the down low, and
Oh, yeah.
and he's got a lot of developments, but it's that thing's interesting.
When Ron touches something, it always goes into pure gold. So
He's got a couple things. He's got a couple things he was working on, if I remember. But the stem was the one that, yeah. But the thing was, is like when I tried it, I was like, how high can this thing go? Like a typical stem junkie.
Mhm.
But he's like, oh no, don't go more than this and this. And I'm like, but you gotta push it, right? you gotta see. You gotta go to the boundaries. But yeah, the dose that I tried it's probably the most closest thing I would say to like those DMH, like in terms of what you feel.
Yeah.
And that was me taking it in combination with like 200 milligrams of caffeine, which, yeah, as Lucas will attest to, was very little, slightly dosed.
Speaking of that, Sean, what's your typical stim intake in a day? What are some of your, like, if you're for your training, how much caffeine do you like pre-workout? What are some of your favorite pre-workouts? And if you don't say an Apollon product, that's okay. You're not going to get kicked off the show.
So
You got two.
Well, I've got my Apollon thong on. You just can't see it. So.
And let's keep it unseen. But so I'd say over the last year or two, and Robert knows that I was the running joke amongst many people as the stim wimp. Okay, over the last year and a half, I'd like to go between maybe 300 to 350 milligrams. Okay, I'm not really an exotic type person. I like my typical caffeine, whether it's anhydrous, anything along those lines. I'm not DHMA, I'm not DHMBA, any of that type of stuff. So in an average day, either I'll do, a pre-workout with that type of level, and then maybe an afternoon cup of coffee. So I'd say, I might be doing on all day 400 to 500 milligrams of caffeine in a day. But I also like to cycle it. Like on days when I don't train, I might just do 1 cup of coffee a day, just to kind of keep my receptors, if that really is true, keeping your receptors kind of fresh and whatnot. I mean, I've heard so many different stories that your receptors can burn out and they can and can't. I don't know. I'd love some validity. Maybe Robert, you can chime in on that. But there's a lot of different things. I like Iron Brothers. I did have an original Hooligan back in the day when it was cruising at the 700, 720. And to be honest, I felt good. I was actually shocked that heart wasn't racing, anything out of my mind. Haven't tried the new one since it's at, what is it, 600 now, Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah, give or take. So that's on my agenda. But it's so hard. I use so many different ones, all different highs and lows. I mean, I wish I could truly name drop, but there's so many that I could name. But, like Redcon's one of my favorites. I'm just kidding.
Oh, shit. Here we go. This might be a new record. 11 minutes in, we're already off the rails. Maybe Robbie's topped that soon, but we're yeah. So I was going to say, when you started Subtalk Radio to champion the little guys, you were probably having like Cellucor, Optimum. I mean, you were a voice for the little people, weren't you, Sean?
Oh no, there was no Cellucor, no Optimum, and it's funny when you look at over the 7 years of shows how some of them have really grown. And Robic and I spoke about this last week. Rich Vellucci, who's your marketing person, was on the show about three years ago, maybe three and a half years ago. And you guys were still small and growing. And when you fast forward now to where you guys are over the last 3 years, it's impressive.
Thank
and
you.
a lot of the guests I've had over the years, they've either crashed and burned, or they've done really well. Like Inspired was one of my original guests back in 2014, doing great things. Core was one of my original guests back in the day. EVL was another one. Again, small that have done things, but then on the opposite note, there's companies that were around that are no longer in existence. So it's humbling to a point. Sorry.
It's cool to experience the growth, right? When you have when you see a company at first when they're crawling and they're doing their first steps, and you are introducing them to the market, right?
Yes, exactly. It's humbling just to know some of the guests that I spoke to years ago. They're just doing well, and it's good to see they're healthy.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you why you decided to give the platform to brands that are unknown. I would say what was the purpose here?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of my selfishness. So because even back then, not a lot of people were educated. It was more of, here, use this because you feel good or it tastes great. So I wanted to first learn myself a little bit more on products. And it was a great way to learn, but then also help educate the people that were using it, kind of give them a little bit of a peek behind the curtain.
Gotcha.
Because let's face it, a lot of people still don't know. They take it based on what their buddies are saying, just bro science.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I remember when I was scrolling through my podcast list and I saw your Subtalk Radio. At first I was like, what's that? And I was like, oh yeah, let's give it a shot, So I listened to like a few episodes and I'm like, that's interesting. Like some brands that I never heard of, So I was like, I was started to listening to all episodes, and from there I was like a loyal listener, and I was every week I was trying to, tune in to newest episode. And I was also like trying to interact with you on the Facebook, I remember,
Yes.
and yeah, that's how we connected. So I'm glad,
I'm pretty sure Lucas is everyone's first follower. I think Lucas is probably the Tom, MySpace's Tom of supplements, right? Like every time you get a follower, you're like, "Who's it? Lucas? Oh my God, he's all the way from Poland." It's just like, and then you find out the dude's like a industry whore, is friends with everybody, like knows everybody and everything.
Yeah, you can say it. I'm an industry whore.
I was about to make a really an analogy between Lucas and another entity. I'm just gonna I'll save that for the after hours show. I will say that. I'm gonna save that for the after hours show.
Man, you can say whatever you want. I'm not a snowflake, So
well, that we know. No, but I can say this, that I remember Rich Vellucci, who is also a very close friend of mine. I remember we just started a Pong, and he goes to me, says, I talked to this guy from SupTalk, Sean. Do you know him? And I said, no. And he goes, well, I'm actually going to talk to him. We're going to do a podcast and stuff like that. And I remember that podcast was very long. I mean, it was a very long podcast, but I remember listening to it with such curiosity, because I think where Sean actually stands out, and that's the reason why I like the podcast. Like Lucas said, I mean, it's a very, very interesting podcast because Sean does not act, and we briefly talked about this before we went on air between me, Robert, and Sean. He's not self-proclaimed guru. He's not trying to be or act as an expert and know-it-all. So he lets his guests actually speak. And he asks very, very interesting questions as well, where it is actually a very open-minded and just open in general conversation, where it's not one-sided, and whoever he interviews actually gets a chance to share his position, his opinion. So I think it's a very interesting to have something like that, and it's a very, very unique podcast. And the way Sean conducts interviews is actually among my favorite too.
And I appreciate that. Again, it's about the guest. It's not about me, and that's the way I host it.
That's the way the best podcasts are run. I would agree. What do you do, Sean, as a podcast host, when you have a guest? And I mean, this has happened to me a few times. When you have a guest that gives you very glib answers, not rude, but they're just like it's like pulling teeth trying to get them to speak. So like you ask them a question, you think like they could take the ball and run with it, and then they just kind of give you like a 2-word answer, and then the rest of the interview is, I mean, it's you're mentally like gouging your eyes out because it's just a painful interview. Have you had any of those experiences, and what do you do to get through them?
I've been very fortunate. I've had one show in the 7 years where the person that came on was the owner of the brand, but the only thing he was from the finances. He knew nothing about the product. He knew nothing about the formulations, and he kept saying, well, that's my formulator. That's my formulator. So I basically called that the train wreck show. I mean, it was, and I was very nice and diplomatic the way I promoted it. But again, I think he knew at the end, and I give most of my guests some talking points. I don't just go in blind and say, look, here's some bullet points. However it goes, because that's, I don't want to sound structured. And I know that's how it is with here. You throw the grenade in the air and see where it falls. But yeah, I've been very fortunate that I've always had people that like to chat, because again, it's usually the smaller brands that want to get their name out there. So they love to chat, and I've been very fortunate.
Okay. Good put. Well put. Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll have, like whenever you're setting up an interview, say, hey, we'll discuss your origin story, why'd you found the company and all of that, and then I tell them, hey, wherever we go, I mean, if we end up talking about football, soccer, favorite bourbons, like whatever we talk about, or like why you have 6 hairs under one arm and 3 hairs under the other, whatever it goes. Just I like to keep it relaxed and easy going. So, all right, are y'all ready to dive into the foray and see what we got for this week's?
Hell yeah.
All right, there we go. Happy Saturday, Park.
Happy.
Here we go. Apple cider vinegar, garlic cloves. Are they just hype? And he's referencing them for general health and illness prevention. So we're gonna let Lucas lead off on this one.
So as far as apple cider vinegar, I think it's a good addition to diet, especially for the digestion purposes, as well as the cloves. You can add them as well, just to keep your bowels moving. Personally, I'm using apple cider vinegar between my meals and also in the morning. So I drinking when I wake up. Did like a shot straight to the dome, do my cardio, and after like 1 or 2 hours, I eat a meal. So everything is going well that way. So yeah, as far as like apple cider vinegar, I have also heard that it has some benefits to health. So it's a good addition.
Sean?
So I've used it in the past. I get hot and cold, but I also add just a shot of either if I have fresh lemon or fresh lime, just a little bit in there as well, just to kind of amp it with some vitamin C. To say I've noticed any difference, I can't, but I know there's a lot of good studies out there that seem like it's very positive. But I can't say I'm a regular user of it.
Robbie?
I haven't really used apple cider vinegar, even though like I also read a lot of studies and benefits, and a lot of my friends are actually using it. Just talked to somebody who had digestion issues, and he says that the first thing in the morning he drinks usually apple cider vinegar mixed with some lemon juice, and he swore by it. He said that it works. So I would never argue with results, and like I said, there seems to be like a lot of benefits behind it, at least in theory. In terms of garlic cloves, I mean, I've been using. I have elevated cholesterol levels, which I think is genetic because everybody in my family has it. And for the last couple of months, I mean, last time I had blood work, the doctor suggested that I use garlic tablets like twice a day, I think, or something like that, and ginger and some other stuff because I mean, it was basically borderline getting on medication, because. Like I said, it's elevated, and but I said, you know what? Let's attempt everything I can do, naturally, if I can lower it. So we'll see. I have blood work again in March, and we'll see if garlic actually worked. I mean, it seems like again there is data behind it. I think if you are predisposed to cholesterol, and I don't think anything can help to that extent, but perhaps it will lower it a little bit. So we'll know in March my honest opinion about it.
Okay.
Never touched it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of brands are doing it, but never touched it.
Yeah, I mean, I like apple cider vinegar as part of a dressing on a salad, and I know that's going to repulse Shane and Lucas. But I'll use it as part of a salad dressing. As far as its like weight loss benefits, I think those are bunk. It might have some digestive benefits and some blood glucose regulating some benefits as far as like keeping your blood sugar in check. So in that instance, yeah, it's just there's really not a huge amount of evidence behind it. Most of the stuff's on like regular vinegar, like acetic acid instead of apple cider vinegar. And then garlic cloves, like Robbie said, for cholesterol, good stuff. There's some good data on aged garlic extract for hypertensive subjects and hypertensive blood pressure be beneficial for that. I'd probably be a little bit more partial if push came to shove using something like nitrosamine or grapeseed extract or olive leaf extract over garlic, but I don't think you can go wrong either way, or use them both. Heavy metals in protein powder, an issue I should be wary of. John?
I can't quite say if I've paid attention to that. I know years ago there was one brand that was very popular. There was a protein years ago that supposedly had traces of metals in it, but I'm drawing a blank what it was. To be honest, I couldn't even answer that.
Lucas?
Never heard of it.
I know that some reputable manufacturers do test for it, like after the production, they test each and every batch. At least they're supposed to. So I know there is tests for it. I mean, I don't think if it does exist, it's something good, obviously. So I think that there is something to worry about, if the I think it depends on the manufacturer, where your products are produced. Because not only protein, I mean, we are talking in general. I think Eddie or somebody was doing a review on a product that claims to have 150 milligram of DMAA. I mean, let's face it, if it does have 150 milligram of pure DMAA, that will fucking rocket. I mean, that's insane. So I'm very skeptical, but I'm pretty sure it's not, manufactured in the right facility. I'd be very, very surprised if it has even 100 milligram of DMAA, because I remember when we used 80, that shit was, ridiculous. So I think that proteins and any product, any supplement, as long as it's manufactured in a proper facility, and it has certificate of analysis and they do purity testing, and stuff like that. I know I just contacted manufacturer with a certain ingredient that we haven't used before, and he told me he ordered it, but he's not going to even make a sample for me before they test for purity. I mean, I think that's the way everybody should be, and I think that customers should be provided at their request certifications or something to back up that the product is actually pure and tested, heavy metals included.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have thought that was the case.
Yeah, exactly. If you're working with a quality manufacturer and you're using a reputable supplement company, and you're buying Optimum Gold Whey, I don't think you have anything to worry about. If you're going for some like a brand that just popped up on the scene or something, maybe by like some Instagram influencer bullshit, then yeah, I'd tread lightly. But with a a titan of industry like Optimum, you're good.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna let Shane take the lead on this one.
Blah, blah.
I'm also on product.
Huh. I mean, to be honest, back in the day, they were like, I actually liked them.
We
Back
had
in
discussions.
back in before they did the transition to the look they have now, I think it was, when they did their big rebrand where it went from the grungy hard metal kind of stuff to the fresh look.
Yeah.
And they kind of took off. They had the bigger salt. They had a nice lineup, especially for sports performance. Like, I mean, DMAA and all that shit was around at the time, but like with those few brands, and again, still not many people like knowing too much about what you weren't and weren't allowed. Muscle Farm did pretty good at not only targeting athletes and saying these supplements are safe for drug tested sports, but then they also became popular for everyone else. And Bulletproof, and Lucas knows this, Bulletproof is still one of my favorite nighttime supplements. That thing was as good as a pre-workout for me when I woke up in the morning. Like, you just feel refreshed and recovered. And that shit was, I know it was a blend, and I know like there's no way of knowing everything that was in it, especially now that it's discontinued. But that thing was dynamite. And they expanded their lineup quite comprehensively. They did the vitamin. They did the woman series, which I absolutely did not like. But they did, they expanded it so it was a full line. Now, however, I mean, it's a shadow of its former self, I would say, without being mean. Like, it's much more mainstream. It's sort of sticking to those key categories. It's not really bright. Probably wouldn't be doing Bulletproof if it could. It's not really. It's just it just seems like a very mainstream core brand for the past, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years maybe. Again, back in the day, I would really like it, and I took quite a few of these things. Armour V, the multivitamin, but now it's also much harder now with the competition. They don't come off as edgy as they once were, and then, yeah.
Sean?
I was a big advocate of them in the 2000s. They had an awesome fat burner called Shred. There was like 2 or 3 tablets that I loved. But like you, Shane, I feel like the last couple of years, I couldn't even name one product from them.
They had the protein candies. Those are pretty cool. But I mean, at the same time, like that's nothing to what we remember Muscle Farm as, which is sort of more like a gimmick kind of thing.
Do you guys feel that maybe the smaller up-and-coming companies, the Apollons, the Iron Brothers, and everybody, all the smaller companies are now overtaking some of the larger companies? Because there doesn't seem to be longevity with some of the larger companies anymore.
I think you might hear from them more, but it's because those mega brands already have the recognition. They don't need to probably make as much noise, try to do as much advertising because they're crushing it in brick and mortar and international sales. Whereas like the young scrappy upstarts and like the medium or middle tier, like medium-sized companies, they're trying to increase their thing. But like once you're hitting at a level of like Cellucor, MuscleTech, you don't really have to do a whole lot of advertising. Like I'm surprised you still see as much Redcon ads as you do because they're freaking everywhere now. You know, they're a $100 million plus company. I got to imagine. So I think that's maybe why that might be distorting our perceptions that we think the little guys are doing it, but I think it's because they're having to divert more to get our attention, whereas the established companies don't necessarily need to do that because they've already, you know, paid their dues.
I also think we forget that like just how well those giants do without adding Eritreans and all that shit. Like they do insane amounts, and like you'd be like, why would you even bother? Look, this podcast isn't going to be able to touch the mainstream dude or mum that walks into Walmart and grabs the pre-workout from there. You'll never be able to touch them. But like those big companies, those mainstream companies that don't do the super innovative formulas, those are the guys that are smoking them. Those are the guys that are just selling like crazy.
Yeah. Muscle Farm kind of lost me when they got busted for the amino spiking with the proteins and stuff like that, and how much they shit on the Arnold series when they had. I mean, like they had the king of bodybuilding, like the most recognizable name in bodybuilding, and they completely shit the bed on his entire line of products. So that's, you know, I think they've come out with some decent stuff now. Like I think the new pre-workout or the one they released a couple of years ago was a little bit better. Maybe 2017 was decent. But I haven't used anything from them in a long time. I did like their strawberry margarita flavored products, though. That was a good flavor.
To be honest, Muscle Farm had three stages of their the best years. First, when they launched the Muscle Farm, the first line, when there was the bulletproof, the shred and the other stuff. Second year was when they signed with Arnold for the Arnold series. And the third one was when they signed with C.T. Fletcher. I think these were the top years for the Muscle Farm. So that's a summation of their legacy. I don't think they're like top brand nowadays,
No.
They had a whole lot of shit with like money and stuff, did they not, as well? With like I don't want to go
filing
into
for bankruptcy and the corporate execs flying down to some like 6-figure resort and blowing all kinds of money and things like that.
Yeah. And then they had that signing with Tiger Woods, and I remember reading about things, and they were like, why are these guys spending this much money? And I was like, oh, okay, this is one of those American investor banker weird things.
Exactly. Late 80s, early 90s, desiccated liver pills, amino acid pills, and protein that tasted like cardboard. See, I was before.
I was going to say late 80s. I was born in late 80s.
Yeah, I was born in 85, so I still have yet to try any liver tablets or anything like that. I know they're still around. I've never tried them. Do you still use them, Sean, or not anymore?
No, I left those in the 80s and 90s.
Kazimon, Brooke, what is going on? I love how the supplement industry seems to be evolving. Formulators are combining ingredients in fascinating ways. I love trying new pre-workouts. I have a problem. Most of us have a problem. We like to mix our pre-workouts around.
No. You do not have a problem. Whoever you are, you do not have a problem. Because if you have a problem, we all have a problem. But if we all have a problem, then that's just normal, okay? And we'll just leave it at that. Don't feel like you have a problem.
Exactly.
I have nothing else to add to that. Well put, Shay. We should just end the podcast there. We'll just end it there.
There's always room for another pre-workout, man. There's
I would
always
agree.
room.
It's like Jell-O. There's always room for more pre-workout.
Yeah.
A lot of pre-workouts contain sucralose for sweetness. Yes, they do. What's the deal with sucralose for long term? In moderation, it appears to be safe. So it's sucralose has been far better studied than stevia, and everybody's jumping on like the stevia bandwagon. But sucralose, ASK, these things have been studied and approved by international governing boards. Even if you don't approve of the way like the FDA tests stuff, or you could say they're bought off by all these companies, sucralose and ASK have been approved by the EFSA and other world regulatory agencies. So it's in moderate doses, like with everything in life, the dose makes the poison. So used smartly, and as long as you're not mega dosing it, you'll be all right. Unless, if anybody wants to disagree, feel free. If y'all don't like sucralose, feel free to
I
say
fucking
otherwise.
love anything that makes shit taste nicer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
See, someone said to me the long term of the artificial things, and I said, well, you know what? My mum, she told me that she'd have at least 1 to 2, I don't know, what are they, like 1.5, 2 liter bottles of Coke with the no sugar, the Diet Coke. She used to have that, well, she still does probably, every day since she was like 25. So she's had it for 30 years. And there's the whole bottles, I don't know what they are in like the American sizes. It's a lot. And I was like, well, there's my long-term study, at least genetically, because if there was a problem, she would have found it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't put anywhere near away as much as she did in Coca-Cola. So I was like, you know what? That should be fine. I'll just replace that amount in supplements. Done.
Yeah.
I think that the mainstream media just blows this shit up, and people pick it up and then make a big deal out of it. But Robert is so on the money with stevia just appeared a couple of years ago, and it's not even nearly as studied as sucralose. Sucralose is pretty much a proven product for so many years. In moderation, really. Actually, there was a very, very nice episode from Dave Palumbo on sucralose. It was very, very detailed, and it's like I said, there is a huge misconception. And actually, Robert was the one who helped me out to answer this one customer that we had. And on a container, I think of Enigma, it says sugar-free, but it does contain sucralose. And remember, Robert, that situation?
Yep.
And this lady sent us an email that we are misleading, and she's very disappointed because, we claim that it's a sugar-free product, yet there is sucralose. So I tried in the best way possible to explain to her. We exchanged a couple of emails, yet she would still not back off and claim that, sucralose is the same as sugar. And I remember I called Robert and I was like, Robert, can you help me out with this? And then he sent me like references and studies and links and stuff like that. Finally, she just left me alone. But, and I have nothing against her in particular. I think it's just the media and the perception that people have, and they blow it up out of proportion. And, they believe that sucralose, a lot of people actually believe that sucralose causes cancer, like not possibly, but definitely. A lot of people believe that sucralose is the same as sugar, that it's very, very harmful. And they, I had a couple of times questions like, why don't you use stevia or Truvia in your protein powder? Because it tastes like shit. It tastes like shit. Any product that I had with stevia just tasted horrible. But I think the not only misconception but lack of knowledge is just huge. And I think this is where, we benefit from people that can actually convey the message and explain to the public all these urban legends, like caffeine over 200 milligram will kill you, and sucralose causes cancer, and it's actually sugar. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and I know where some of the concern around sucralose is coming from. It's all of these little potshot science writers where they actually don't understand what the fuck these studies are saying. They'll take a headline that says, hey, we found that sucralose alters gut bacteria. That doesn't mean it did something bad necessarily. It just showed every food you eat alters your microbiome to a certain extent. And then they found, oh, well, sucralose causes weight gain. What they did for that study, they took a fecal transplant. So they took people, fed them sucralose, had them poop, injected those bacteria into the stomach of mice, and watched those mice gain fat. That's not a one-to-one thing. That's not saying sucralose.
I saw the episode on South Park about that, and I remember watching it. and they were like, it was all about how they took the poo from someone and put it in someone else, and the golden egg was getting Tom Brady's poo and shoving up your ass because he has the golden poop, right? And they're like, oh, we need God's poop, right? And they all tried to hunt him down and steal his poop, and he kept it in like a safe or something. I watched that episode and I was like, this is the funniest shit. One of the funniest South Parks I'd seen in a while.
Yep.
And then my wife said, I think that's actually real. And I said, who the fuck is shoving poop up their ass? Like, it goes out, it doesn't come back. You don't push it back in.
No,
I'm like, and I Googled it. It's a real fucking thing, man. What are you guys doing?
Yeah,
exactly. It was a whole story. I was looking it up, and they said it was like a trend or something. And they, like you said, they put the poo. I don't even know how mechanically it works. Like, just insert the disc up the bum, and then just it goes into your stomach or whatever. I don't know. And then they said, yeah, the gut adopts that micro, and I was like, that is. I mean, whoever thought of that shit? Literally.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you come up with that? Is there not a better way? Like, could you not put it in a pill? Or, I mean, either way is bad, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that was real until I Googled that.
Yeah. And for all the people that want a detailed, in-depth explainer on sucralose, type into Google SteelFit sucralose, and it's an article. It's like a 3,000-word article I put together on sucralose. So that's where you'll find the moderate dosage. Like, to get verging on like toxic levels of sucralose or aspartame or any of these other sweeteners, you'd have to consume upwards of like 42 liters of Diet Coke. That, just put that into perspective. So having 1 scoop of protein powder, a pre-workout, and a BCAA each day, even if you're doing those, you're going to be fine. You're well below the LD50, the toxic threshold, all of that stuff. So for that, go just type in SteelFit USA sucralose, and you'll get everything you ever wanted to know about the ingredient. Let's see.
After that conversation, I think your ratings just went up about 50 points.
There we go.
Oh, totally. Key words on this is going to be insane.
Is GABA something? Is GABA something I should be taking for any health or recovery uses?
We talked about this last week. This was one of my 3 ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ingredients you didn't like or you do like?
Remember how we said, and you took like 1,000 years to decide which 3 ingredients you wanted to keep? Like if you had to pick 3, and it was like a fucking, where should we go for dinner? Date night or some crap? I was like, oh my God, dude, hurry up. GABA was one of my 3 because, again, much like Bulletproof, it's one of those ingredients that just knocks you out. And for me, it's always put me to sleep really easily. And better recovery, in my mind, is as good as having good energy from a pre-workout going into the gym. Energy just makes you feel good. Recovery means you actually have recovered. So I've always liked it. I like it in combination with like a full nighttime supplement, though, not just. I used to have it by itself, but prefer it in combination with things now.
Sean, what about you? Do you like GABA or you have adverse reactions to it?
No, I use it sometimes as a standalone before I go to bed. I'll take a scoop of it, just get the raw powder, and just take a scoop of it before bed instead of like mixed formulas like Shane was mentioning.
Lucas,
Did you have any problems with breathing?
Breathing?
Yeah.
No. I think my dreams are a little bit more lucid at times, but no problems breathing.
Yeah, they are.
Because when you're taking, if you're gonna take, let's say, 3 grams of GABA, you can have like this shortness of breath,
yeah,
and it can last for like 15, 20 minutes, something like that, and
Okay.
you can have like, you can be stressed about it at one point, but it will go away and you will sleep like a baby afterwards. But yeah, I've tried it, and I also use it with lemon balm and the valerian root, as well as melatonin. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something you necessarily need to take part, especially you have Xanax. Is that better? You've got prescription stuff. We're not going to venture into the territory of prescription pharmaceuticals because that was prescribed by a doctor. So I'm not going to say anything contrarian to your doctor's advice. if you need Xanax for super high anxiety or stuff like that, then talk to your doctor, maybe counselor or something like that to work through whatever issues are causing you the anxiety.
I've noticed that Xanax is very popular in US. What's going on, guys?
What's not popular?
We have
they got a lot of good drugs over there, Lucas.
the Russians, the Americans don't have anything on the Russians. The Soviet Union were freaking gods among men with their creation of nootropics, pharmaceuticals, everything. The Russian scientists, man, let's go back to the 80s and I want to get in their labs, the 60s through the 80s, get in the Soviet Union labs and find out what the hell they were coming up with. Going back to the heavy metal thing, Pete uses Apollo 50/50, the only thing Evelyn out of the gains. Robbie, is caramel macchiato staying around permanently, or is that still special edition?
Yeah, no, it's official. It's staying permanently.
Ooh.
Well,
Story from Shane's coming.
I like Muscle Farm Combat Crunch Bars, but that's about it. Okay, Shane and Lucas are the protein bar snobs of the group. So do you guys like the Combat Crunch Bars or not?
Lucas, you want to go first?
I got 2 flavors that I like. Cinnamon roll was probably my favorite from the entire series, and I believe that I also like the coconut flavor, but that's about it. To be honest, we also had this discussion with Shane about the combat bars. And he also mentioned it at his podcast with Dan from Ghost. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's just when these came out, you had Pro Subs My Bar kind of led the way. And then everyone's like, "Oh, this is really nice. It's smaller than the Fit Crunch. It seems a little softer." And then we got like bodybuilding.com signature. We got Muscle Farm Combat Crunch. We got Nitro Tech Crunch. There were even more that I probably can't even remember, but they were. And when they each came out at that time, I was like, "Oh, cool! This is going to be sweet. Wonder how different it's going to be." And then I'd see the picture and be like, "Kind of looks like the My Bar and Fit Crunch." And then I'd see Combat Crunch. I'm like, "Oh, Muscle Farm's going to do really good." And I'm like, "That also kind of looks like." And then you eat them, and I'm like, "So they're all pretty much the fucking same, right?" Like,
Yeah.
It's just that. I don't know. I mean, if you like the flavors and you like that style, then shit, you're spoiled for choice because everybody does them similar. But like, it just, I don't know.
It's the same bar in a different wrapper. That's basically.
It just, and that kind of irked me. Obviously, they can't say, "Hey, this is like the My Bar," but we got different flavors. So like, and they got to promote it as something like fresh and new, but. I mean, for me, it was always very disheartening when you try something thinking it was going to be different, and all it was a mix of different flavors, and that's why I like the European.
I liked the My Bars. I mean, they had a different texture to me than the Crunch Bars. The Crunch Bars, I think, had more of the IMO, the isomalto oligosaccharide, the Vitafiber syrup in there, which made it super tacky and very chewy. Where there wasn't as much of that, I don't think, in the My Bars.
My Bars were like 20 calories more.
Yeah.
And I remember that was like a key, this big difference, like 20, 30 calories more. They were like 240, 250.
That's 5 grams of carbs for you, Shane. That's the deal breaker, man.
Hey, no. You're going back. If you're talking about My Bar, you're talking about 7 years ago. Shit. I was much better than I am now, okay? Much easier. I could eat rice. I could eat fucking pasta. All I got were the gains, as that guy just said, okay? Now, as Sean mentioned, life sucks, and
We're getting old.
Metabolism slows down. I said that me and my wife had this discussion. I said it sucks because when you're a kid and you can eat the house, the only limit is money, right? I want more cake. I want more candy. I want more McDonald's, right? And then when you get older, when you have the money, you can't because you'll get diabetes or you'll get something wrong, right? Like you'll get some sort of disease or like sickness, and it sucks because you have the money in front of you to buy it, but you can't eat it because then you just get really fat. That's fucking cruel. Anyway,
Sean, favorite protein bars? Do you have any?
I'd probably say the one I use the most now is a Power Crunch. It's not a favorite for any. It's I don't know if you guys have ever had them, but it's low in calories, low in sugar, and they're not the most tasteful, but I think the macros are kind of the nicest. Not a lot of sugar in them.
Those are
That's
the
wafer
wafers,
one,
right?
eh?
Yes.
Oh, did not like those.
Let's see. What's your opinion on tapioca fiber? Since we're on the bar kick, just seems to be the same old IMO Quest used. Morphogen and Accent Sledge use it and claim all natural and whole food. Any thoughts?
I feel like this is a question for Robert.
Well, yeah. So the IMOs are I wrote an article a long time ago called IMO, the fraudulent fiber, where it still showed that it messed with blood sugar levels and it wasn't actually as low in calories as it was believed to be. Tapioca fiber and then the soluble corn fiber that Quest uses, they are different in that they're actually derived from whole food sources. I'd need to go into the actual research a little bit more about the tapioca fiber specifically. I haven't messed around with protein bar ingredients, just looking through them in a while, just because I know what I'm getting myself into when I'm eating a protein bar. I'm not overly concerned about it. You can claim all natural and whole food if the ingredients are derived from whole foods. So, that's, I think what Redcon even calls their bar a whole food bar, even though it's like 30 ingredients in there, but they're all derived from natural food sources. So that's why you can say it's all natural. There's no synthetic additions in there, are artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, and those kind of things.
I do like the MRE bar. I know you're shaking your head, but I do like that bar. That's the only one that I was worried, because it's similar build to Combat Crunch, my bar. I was worried that thing was going to be the same, but that consistency and texture of that thing is fucking good. It's really good.
A lot of carbs in there, Shane? Do you break that into like 50 slices and have like a little snippet a day, or how does that work?
Usually I just don't eat for the rest of the day. Or I have it post workout and with a GDA, just because Robert suggested it.
There you go. All the greens in my diet. Careful, that's a 4-letter word around Shane.
Oh,
Greens
fuck,
and
here we
diet,
go.
artificial
I didn't even want to read the rest of the question.
Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Xanax is for the pre-workout heart attacks. Okay, well then, maybe dial back the stims. Park, I've got to meet you in person one day, man. Your comments and stuff in here are awesome. Stephen Wynn, outright bars are the best in the game right now. Sandy would probably agree with you. I'm going to disagree, just because when you've got more sugar than you actually have protein on a bar. Are you really a candy bar? Like, are you
my issue with these is, and I said this to Lucas a while back when they got into Europe, is that, and not that this is going to apply to a lot of people. I don't mind the macros. The macros are like 270, 280 calories. The protein isn't high, but when you grab a bar, you're not going to go like, oh no, I'm getting 17 grams of protein instead of 20. You're likely going to go, shit, this 20 grams of protein comes with 300 calories. That's usually how my protein bar search goes. My issue with the outright bar is that if you do not like peanut butter, you're shit out of luck, right? And I know a lot of people like peanut butter, and they do have different flavors, and some of them are distinctive, and they have little hints. But that nut butter taste is what it's all about. And I like the bar. I don't have a problem with it. But again, if you don't like peanut butter, that's the whole thing. That's the game of that bar. So in countries where I imagine, like when I was in Czech Republic, they didn't sell peanut butter on the shelf in the supermarket, right? When I went in, they didn't have it. I know this may sound strange to you, but when I went there, they didn't have it. They had chocolate spread, like that. Like they had their version of no, they didn't have Nutella. They had their version of it, like it must have been locally produced. But I had to go to a supplement store to grab the peanut butter, and I just remember going like, that's strange. But when you realize that, and that was Eastern Europe, I imagine the further east you get, it might be even more common. But it's not entirely difficult to believe that not everyone likes peanut butter or nut butter, for example. Yeah. So I imagine the outright bar wouldn't necessarily be applicable to everyone. It is great, but I like bars on their variety of flavors. I like a chocolate mint to just taste like chocolate mint, and a peanut butter to taste peanut butter, and blueberry and so on. But with the outright bar, you get different tastes, but it's always with that nut butter flavor, and that just, again, I like the bar, but I would only go for it if I wanted something nutty, not if I wanted something different.
Right. I like one bars. I mean, I think those are
I like one bars too.
Built bars and one bars are probably up at the top for me. We don't have all the fancy highfalutin stuff in the States you guys have over there in Europe, Lucas. So I'm sorry if my choices are offending you right now.
You know what? It's funny because if you go on any post, when somebody posts like, best protein, best tasting protein bar or something like that, you will see a lot of comments very, very similar to Steven's, where you're going to have like, okay, this is a game changer. This is the best one. Which comes down to personal opinions. That's the reason why I'm not a huge fan when people review a protein flavor or something like that, because we all so different. Like, for example, we have Corey Anderson from MMA, and we have Branch Warren. So Corey absolutely loves chocolate protein, but he's not that big on vanilla. And then Branch Warren is like just huge on vanilla. So I think like if they're gonna review something or they're gonna listen to a review, I think it's very, very unfair. And that's the reason when people criticize a certain flavor, I have a huge problem with that, and I always call them out on it because, well, who the fuck put you in charge? That's your personal opinion. Shut the fuck up. Enjoy whatever you enjoy, but don't review a product and and advise others what to buy, what's good and what's not, because it's your personal opinion. Like, for example, Shane doesn't like greens and he doesn't like sushi. Majority of people love sushi, but who are we to tell Shane, okay, you absolutely must eat greens and you must eat sushi if he doesn't like them? I just think like, we should all stick to personal opinion. Now, outright bars, they taste good. I'll give them that. They taste good. Are they game changer? I don't think so. Like, to me, it's just a good tasting bar. But again, I'm stressing this. This is my personal opinion. They're good tasting bars. But then, it seems like the supplement industry and the fitness industry, they kind of integrated to a point where years ago you just had bodybuilders and you had like, Sean competed. All of us, all five of us actually work out and what's good for us in terms of like muscle growth and stuff like that. At least if we are not experts, but at least we know the basics, because the basics are very, very simple. And if any one of us would want to say get shredded and get a six-pack and in certain period of time, none of us would use probably any protein bars because they shit. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, you can take pizza and sprinkle it with protein powder. Now you just enhance the protein content of pizza. You still getting shit food. You're still getting junk. So, and all these claims about natural foods, who are you trying to kid? I mean, it's bullshit. Natural foods mean absolutely nothing. It sounds good, organic, natural, but organic and natural can still make you fat. That's just those are the facts. So the protein bars, if you notice, we talk a lot about them, which one is good, but are there any of them are actually beneficial to your health? No, it's a candy bar sprinkled with protein, with perhaps a little bit less calories, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that there are protein bars on the market, supplement, protein bars, so-called, that actually have more calories than your regular, bar that actually tastes a lot better. All this is an absolute bullshit. Outright bars, 300 calories or whatever, 270 to 300, sprinkled with protein. All the other ingredients, I mean, I'm sorry, but they shit. That's just the fact. You're not going to get lean. You're not going to get in shape. And, it's pure marketing, because some fat fuck walks around and makes himself feel good. Oh, look, I'm having a protein bar. I'm going to fucking get shredded. No, you're not. You're going to get fatter, because that's fucking junk with protein. Have fucking ice cream and add a little bit of protein to it and tell everybody, oh, my ice cream, it's a protein ice cream. No, it's still fucking ice cream, you fat fuck, and you're only going to get fatter. You're not going to get leaner. And nobody fucking says it. So the game-changing outright bars are not the best in the game. They are among the top shit bars out there sprinkled with protein. I mean, that's just the fact. None of them are meant to actually get you healthier and better and fitter. It's just so your fat ass can shove it down your throat and say, I'm having a protein bar. I'm healthier than the fucker who has Mars bar. Okay, I'm done.
That's it. And on that note, we're done.
We're done.
So
Thank you for tuning in, everyone. We will see you next time on the Final Scoop.
when's the Apollon protein bar coming out?
Yeah, Robbie.
Well, you see, the thing is, I actually found a perfect person to help me formulate the protein bar for Apollon. Somebody who is extremely carb pussy sensitive, and that is my very good friend Shane Smith. So he's going to help me formulate the bar. He's going.
I told you this. I said to do that. I actually tried it. The Icon Meals beef bar.
Actually, that's the one I want to try.
I told you, if there's a bar out there for like people who want to get in shape, it's 15 grams of protein, 3 grams of carbs, nothing else.
Did you try them yet?
Yeah, I did. I reviewed them. Okay, so if you're a bodybuilder who literally is just like, I'll eat chicken breasts, like no sauce, no seasoning, these will be absolutely a dream because they're much better than a microwave chicken breast. So if you're on that diet, if you live their lifestyle, then you will not have a single damn problem with this.
Okay, and I agree with you. I agree with you. Based on macros, like I haven't tried them, but based on macros, let's assume that they are actually, fitness friendly. But here's my question for you: like, you will have them because you obviously watching your carb intake. But do you think when a person, mainstream person, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going at. The ice bars are going to lose to outright bars every day.
They do taste like, if you can just imagine what a little stick of beef is, like a little 40-gram block of beef. That's exactly what it is. It smells like it. It tastes like it.
It's supposed to be like this.
Yeah,
I know it is. But like, if you put it in a wrapper, right, and you be like, and you just read it, 15 grams of protein, 90 calories, you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna throw this down. And then you open it, you're like, and the worst part is in the wrapper, even though you can see it, when you pull it out, it's got this little shine to it, and the juices that are in the packet, it just has this like, ugh. But again, if you're someone who's like chicken, rice, broccoli, this is a walk in the park, and this is exactly what you're after. But average person, well, because again, you can turn it over and you can see the juices like going from one end to the other.
but like the guy said, the outright bar are game changing. Do you think that they would say the same about Icon bars? No, they wouldn't.
They just dropped them. You can't really say it's game. It's a piece of beef that's been done before, but it's just beef. It literally just cut a piece of beef up, did whatever they did, and just put in a wrapper.
But even though they just dropped them, it's easy to predict that they're not gonna be popular among mainstream. In fact, I'm pretty sure
they are a meal prep company, so meal prep for like bodybuilders and stuff. And so I imagine this was actually it's right down their alley. It's a good idea.
I can see the label now. Apollon's Best Bar.
That's what that probably tastes like shit.
Apollon bar. It's not a piece of shit.
Not crappy chocolate. Anyway.
Don't trust protein bars. Too many fillers.
Agree.
This will be a quick one. Can you get diabetes if you shoot insulin when you don't need it? No, you will go into a diabetic coma if you take insulin and there are no carbs in your system, and that will be the end of you.
Christ.
So do not shoot insulin. Bodybuilding.com bars, they tasted horrible. I have not had the pleasure or misfortune to try them.
They remind me a lot of the Combat Crunch. Some of their flavors are, like, again, they have different flavors. I think they had a birthday cake one, which wasn't too bad. Yeah. But if you like that style, then yeah.
Brooke, thank you for accepting my problem as our problem. Pre-workout anonymous meeting. Regarding pre-workout, any new ones you all have tried or interesting ones that are coming out that pique your interest? Anything new that's I'm beta testing a few things right now. I can't really go into much more than that. I like it because I had a hand in it. So
did you try what I sent you?
No, I've not tried Andro Dust yet. I'm a little scared to try that one. That thing's got like 100 milligrams of DMAA, urea jorensis, hordenine, halostacine,
The
DMHA.
name's Androdust.
Yeah, or angel dust. Angel dust.
Oh, Angel. I thought you said Androdust.
No.
I was like, that's
I think I'm gonna start with like a third of a scoop on that. I should give that to Sandy, just a full scoop one day, and just see what the fuck happens to her. Just say, here, honey, because she just trusts me to mix up a nootropic or something for her every day before she goes teaching, and I'll just, here you go, honey, try this today. Wink.
You're lucky. My wife doesn't trust me anymore. I always say, try this one, and she'll turn it around and be like, okay, so I need half, and I'm like, no, you can do a little bit more. It doesn't work like that. I lost the trust.
When will Robic reveal the bare knuckles label?
Shane will reveal it on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, okay.
Bare knuckle easily piques my interest. Yep. Another overrated supplement from Apollon. Those guys don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, somebody who's helping us formulating it is clueless and definitely not a leader.
I heard he's the best formulator, though.
Robbie, thought
So-
leader. Refer to it properly, please. You guys tried the 015 birthday cake bar. Thank you.
This was exactly my review. Was that they're goddamn delicious, amazing. You could throw down 2 or 3 at a time, but I wouldn't be able to eat anything for the rest of the day because they're 500 calories or 480 a piece. They fucking taste delicious. It's insane. In fact, I liked them better than the outright because they were distinctively different tastes and they didn't have that nut butter as strong. But again, I mean, we're talking 480 calories and I think it's 24 protein, maybe 27. So a lot of carbs. I had to take that. I had to try that on my
Took that one on the
breakfast.
chin.
Yeah, I actually tried it too. A friend of mine gave it to me, and I had it on my cheat day. But
Wait,
yeah, no, I had one. Yeah, it tasted very, very good. But know, I'm hesitant to call it a protein bar because it has the health ring to it. I'm just gonna call it a bar, and as a bar, it tastes pretty good.
It does taste really good.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next one. This is one that Sean actually sent me yesterday before we got on the call. Are there any ingredients that more is not necessarily better? Citrulline, beta-alanine, etc. Anybody want to tee off? Sean, did somebody send you this question, or is this just one that you were percolating in the back of your head?
No, this is mine because I see like citrulline seems to be the big thing right now. Is everyone looks for the 6 to 8 grams, and now I've seen ones with 13, 15. I mean, there's got to be a point where you're saturated, or like more is not better.
Yeah, the bottle, the top, the threshold dose, the maximum where you don't get any more benefit is 10 grams of just pure L-citrulline. So if you're doing 15 grams of citrulline malate, I mean, I got to think that you're going to be in for hurting from like some GI distress there, even though malate is a buffer. And citrulline is generally well tolerated on the GI system, but shit, man, you throw 15 grams of citrulline malate down. I don't want to be on the receiving end of that. So, but the upper limit on citrulline usage before it just starts getting converted and extruded to other things is 10 grams, which I think you look at one of the core nutritionals products. I don't know if it's from Arms Race or America Labs, but they've got 10 grams in there, and that's the max dose as identified in research. Beta-alanine, I wouldn't go much above 4 grams at any one time, just because after that you'll saturate the receptors and you can't absorb any more than that at one time. That's why all the studies divided out across like 1.6 or 3.2 grams per day. Creatine, I don't see any need to load creatine either, just because you're supposed to be taking it over the long haul, so just 5 grams a day every day and you'll be fine. Any other ingredients where more isn't better? I mean, everything to a certain extent, yeah. There's that. Every ingredient's going to have something where more isn't better.
Everything could go like, I don't know, 20 grams. The most I've had of citrulline is 12, and I didn't mind that. I mean, again, I don't know, I didn't feel too different from 8 to 12, but I have had 14 of citrulline malate, and you were right, sir. I did we already talked about doo-doos earlier in the thing, so it was
doo-doo.
yeah. It was I just remember being like, I just remember reading it and being like, because one had citrulline, one had citrulline malate, and I was like, oh sweet, if I stack them, that's still just over 12. I had 12 before. It was actually like 14, 15. It was not the same.
Yeah, it's
I also
alpha-yohimbine is another ingredient, like alpha-yohimbine or yohimbine. More is not necessarily better with that.
I think everything is like more is worse.
Yeah,
The
I
only
mean, I
one
guess
you
maybe like Sean is saying, are there any ingredients that we're seeing that are overdosed for what
oh that
should
we're
be
seeing.
like betaine? I see betaine in some products dosed up to 5 grams,
I
and
got one.
Yeah.
Carbs.
there you go. The max dose in any of the
Overrated.
studies used noting performance is 3 grams. So going way above that, I don't see any benefit to it, and that'll lead to GI distress too, because it's going to pull all that water into your GI tract, and you're going to be,
I love betaine, and I never used like 5 grams.
Yeah, it's
no, you
completely
don't need that much. The
unnecessary.
max
It's
dose used in
unnecessary.
any study is 3.
Yeah, 2 to 3 seems to be fine.
Yeah, 3 grams.
I know that I tried, with the citrulline, I tried as a standalone just to experiment with it, and I tried citrulline mally at 6 grams, which gives you 2-to-1 ratio. That means 4 grams of citrulline and 2 grams of citric mally. And I had 6 grams of pure citrulline, and I have to admit that the 6 grams of pure citrulline definitely worked better, without a doubt. I thought that there was a clear advantage. So I think that if we are talking about 6 to 8 grams of pure citrulline, I think that's a sweet spot. Maybe 10. I haven't tried 10. I tried between 6 to 8, and it doesn't seem like there is a huge difference, but 6 to 8 seems to be like a sweet spot. That's the reason when I see 6 or 8 grams of citrulline mailing, I'm not as impressed because I know that the actual citrulline is a lot lower. But yeah, I mean, to go over 10, I just don't see a point. I mean, of a pure citrulline, I don't see a point. And I had beta-alanine, I had at 4 grams, and it seemed like, I mean, I definitely felt it without a doubt. But I think one time I tried about 5 grams. I think it wasn't maybe 4.8, 5, somewhere around there. And to be honest with you, at that point, even though it's not dangerous, but just the way I felt, it wasn't very good. I didn't feel good on it. Like I said, no concrete side effects where I felt like shit. It's just like the feeling even during the pre-workout was a little bit extreme. I didn't like the feeling. So I think anywhere between 2.5 maybe and 4, I think somewhere over there, I think you're good.
I did the 6.4 once.
How did you feel? I didn't like the feeling around 5.
No problem.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I was curious. I feel like there's a certain point where the tingles just stop. Like I didn't get any.
Lucas, what you got? Can you do a mini review on Angel Dust?
You're entering a very gray area, my friend. Well, it's how can I say it? It's definitely an interesting product, and I'm sure you will be enjoying yourself using it. But honestly, if I were you and you are thinking about buying it, at first I would invest in some samples and try it like maybe half of the sample, and then use the full serving, because it hits hard, and I personally didn't use the half a serving. I used the entire sample straight away.
Sometimes two.
You know me.
With 6 caps of overtime and a half a scoop of assassin.
I didn't took 2 samples because it's.
And then assassin post workout.
I actually tried Angel Dust too, and it hits hard. It definitely hits hard, but I liked it. I actually did like it. I enjoyed it. It hits hard, but there was no crash. It was good. I mean, the reason, like, sometimes I'll experiment with different pre-workout just to see like what it feels like. And I remember when I tried Angel Dust, I actually tried, somebody gave me a scoop of Excelsior. And Excelsior, I absolutely hated it. I hated it. I thought it was horrible pre-workout. I mean, I didn't like anything, just the way it made me feel. It was exactly what I expected it to be based on label. But Angel Dust, I was a little bit skeptical, but it was a hard-hitting pre-workout. And I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't bad at all. I liked it.
Did you have any crash after workout? Or
as far as I remember, no. I actually felt okay. I mean, the only thing that I can tell you is with Angel Dust, it hits very hard initially, and then it drops. But I don't mean drops like crash drops, just drops. Like it went like I don't remember. I think like for the first maybe hour, it was like very, very elevated in terms of like not aggression, but just the way I felt. I felt strong. I felt good, aggressive, explosive, and then it dropped quite significantly, maybe by like 50%, but not to a point of crash, but just dropped. It wasn't as powerful as the first hour. That's how I felt.
With me,
Is this
it was
the-
like,
It's from
Yeah, go-
Skull Labs.
yeah.
Huh. Jesus fucking Christ.
With me, it was like a big peak, you know.
Yeah.
And then it dropped a bit, but then it was like going. Really,
No crash. Definitely no crash.
There was no crash, but it kept me going for like after training. I was like buzzing for like 4 or 5 hours.
It's
Yeah,
a
no,
European brand.
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Lucas,
for all
what
the
is-
listeners out here, I'm going to pull up the supplement
Look at
back.
look at Shane's face.
See, my issue with this is that I haven't had any product with DMAA since I know you couldn't actually put it in a pre-workout. So I haven't touched it. I've never touched any pre-workout with DMAA since it was banned.
Yeah.
It always scares me when I see. Not that, I mean, go ahead and do it. It's one of those things where I won't have something if it's after the expiration date. If I
Yeah,
see
that's-
if I see a freeform amino and a protein, I won't touch it. If I see like DMAA, which I know you can't, and this is European as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I know you're not your hembees or agmatine, and they've got alpha yohimbine and yohimbine and agmatine and DMAA and DMHA. For me, I think I'm like a bit paranoid in those things. I'm just like, I've had people send them to me, but I just don't touch them because I just.
Well,
have
yeah,
this-
that, and we've got, look, there's major spelling errors on the label. Hygenemine is spelled improperly. Hordenine.
No, to be fair though, no offense to them, but like in Europe, sometimes the ingredient name in their language is spelled with like 2 letters different, and you'll see the whole label. It'll be completely different words, but then you'll see one word that's just like arginine with a different letter, and you'll be like, oh, that might just be their spelling, and they just might keep it the same.
Yeah.
I have seen that. I don't know if that's the case here, but I have seen it where like creatine can be just creatine but no E, and like their translations are a little bit different. So I can understand how that gets lost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and you can even see based on a formula, like, you know, the pump was non-existent because it's not a pump formula. But I could definitely tell that there was DMA in this product for sure. I mean, that's the way it felt. The focus, the focus that you get from nootropics like alpha GPC and like tyrosine and those products, like, the more standard ones, you won't get it here. But you definitely get, the DMAA, DMHA feeling, area genesis. You're more aggressive towards the weights and your task at hand, like what you're doing. So if you want to have like a good workout, that not bodybuilding type of workout where you actually want to walk around and see like the nitric oxide and the pump in your body and stuff like that, you won't get it with this one. But you will definitely get that drive. It's actually a better word. Rather than focus, you are very driven. So you're productive. Especially, I think this could be great. I didn't train like that, but I think this could be great for CrossFit. It could be great for strength and conditioning, probably. Strongman competition. Definitely, like that type of a pre-workout. The aggression and the drive is going to be there.
Lucas, was this light for you? Was that product light for you?
No, it was perfect. But you know what? You got this, as Robic said, you got this drive. Basically, you don't see anyone else in the gym. You just want to fuck shit up, basically, and you just want to like lift weights for like 2-3 hours straight. No talking, no messing around. You just like do set after set after set after set. You don't feel tired. So if you're into something like this, then give it a try. But I'm not advertising anything. So plus
has anyone in here had crack?
Yeah,
I would love just to compare, just because we always say things like it's driven. I would love someone who's had crack or like those illegal drugs
you
to
need the
take jacked, and then
Anybody
just
had
be like,
actual methamphetamine and tried this?
yeah, and then like compared it and be like, bro, that ain't shit, or like how are you able to sell this? Like, I would love to know that. I'm not doing it myself, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do it. But I would love a past crack addict or someone who's been on down that road to just take us pre-workout and then just tell us, "Nah, bro, it ain't even close." Lord, just like let us know. I'm just doing research purposes. Again, not encouraging anyone, but someone who's that would be interesting.
Thoughts on V-Rush vapes? Is it better than pre-workout powder? No, it is a dog shit supplement that's trying to capitalize on the vaping craze right now. You can fit about 1 milliliter, maybe 2 or 3 milliliters in a single vape cartridge, and they're loading this thing up with citrulline, theanine, caffeine, and all of this other shit. You need 8 grams
what's
or
that?
6 grams or even 4 grams of pure L-citrulline to get any kind of effective dose. You can't cram that much into a milliliter of liquid. No, Cristobal, please don't waste your money on this bullshit. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your money.
And how stable can it be, and for how long?
Exactly.
They don't have any dosages.
No. But I mean, you've only got a milliliter or 2 of liquid in each cartridge. So so agmatine, citrulline malate, beetroot, L-tyrosine, L-theanine, taurine.
Do you see this? The 3 milligrams of caffeine when inhaled is equivalent to 200 milligrams orally.
So they say, but there's no research cited on that. So I
That
don't
seems
believe
like a really crazy equivalency.
Well, yeah, but think about it. If you're trying to, what good am I if I'm inhaling citrulline into my lungs? That's not getting it into the bloodstream to do anything.
Well, it's like 66 times better, apparently.
Yeah, just don't fall for.
I mean, if this is true, I'm gonna start vaping everything.
Yeah, do not support these shit show supplement companies trying to do this.
Would that be
fast
true?
route.
You could only vape like 10 grams of protein and it'll work out to like fucking 300.
You get super huge.
This can't be right. Is it right? I don't. They don't say anything.
No, fuck those
Wait,
guys.
delivery.
I'd never seen this before.
All right, training question. With isolation exercises, is it better to do more reps or more sets or just total reps? Sean, take the lead on this one.
So I always change things up. I mean, there'll be weeks where I'm doing 8 to 10 reps, and then there might be another week where I'm doing 16 to 20 reps. Always trying to stimulate the muscles. High and low every couple of weeks. So I go both ways.
Yep, we're clipping that out. Sean goes both ways. We're going to put that as the trailer for this podcast.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Robbie?
I agree with Sean. I mean, I don't have a specific when I train weight training specifically. I'll enter the gym, like I'll know that I'm training, for example, I don't know, chest today, but I literally have no idea whether it's going to be 4 exercises, 5 exercises. I don't know the sets. I don't know the reps. I go by the way my body feels, and I feel like that instinctive training that I remember Lee Haney talking about it. He called it instinctive training, but he would actually walk into the gym and decide what body part he trains that day. I'm not as loose with that. I mean, I know what I'm training on any given day, but in terms of like what exercises, sets, and reps, it depends how I feel, and I think that keeps my body making more progress because you're not getting stuck with the same routine. If you take, for example, former Olympia competitor Dennis James, he used to do even biceps and triceps. I believe like his reps were like 4 to 6 reps, which is extremely heavy weight for very low repetition. And if you looked at him, I mean, who could argue with results? But then you had certain bodybuilders who would keep the repetitions 12 to 15 and also looked amazing. I think that we all build different, and we have to find what works for us personally, and that's the reason for experimenting with different exercises, sets, and reps. And I'm always skeptical about giving people advice on what to do at the gym because everybody responds differently. One of the body parts that I had kind of that grew easy for me was my chest, and people would always ask me like, "Wow, you're blessed with with such big chest development and stuff like that. And did you always have it?" And the truth is, no. When I started training, I used to do, like every kid, I used to do 30, 40 sets. I mean, for chest, different, pretty much every exercise, that existed, I would do it, and nothing was happening to my chest at all. Once I started reading a little bit more and doing a little bit more research, I noticed that the less I do, the more my chest grows. It responds a lot better. And the same thing with my legs were always behind my upper body development. And about 10 years ago, I talked to Dorian Yates, who was training at Apollon at the time, and I told him, like, my leg sucks, my leg sucks, my leg sucks. He goes to, well, there might be a case of, genetics where your lower body is not as developed as your upper body, but what are you doing for legs? So I told him, what everybody else is doing. I squat a lot. And he goes to me, and why do you do that? I'm like, because it's the best exercises for legs. He goes, says who? I'm like, well, that's a general idea. He goes to me, no, he says it's a bullshit exercise. It, it puts tremendous pressure on your kneecaps. It puts tremendous pressure on your lower back. And he goes, I actually haven't done squats for many, many, many years. And my leg development, he goes, I contribute mostly to leg presses and hack squats. And I remember I dropped, squatting and moved to leg presses and hack squats. So more of isolation movements. I also didn't go as heavy, and I kept the repetitions a little bit higher. And I can't say that my lower body caught up with my upper body development, but I saw some serious improvements, even considering that I was already in my 30s, and they say that, especially, your legs are the first to disappear older you get. I actually had some solid improvements. So I think, you have to find out what works for you best, and you have to experiment with different things, because I'm pretty sure, there's 5 of us, and each and every one probably trains different.
Lucas?
Yeah, 100% agree with Robic. And as far as my preferences, I go with push-pull legs. So 6 times per week I train. And basically, I split my sessions into higher reps and lower reps. So basically, I do a more like a strength-based cycle and higher repetition type of a cycle. So more like a hypertrophy type of a session, and it works for me very well. My body responds really good to the stimulus. So basically, I stick to that. And as Robic said, stick what works for you. If squatting, gives you problems to your knees, or like it's problematic for your body, basically change it up. You don't have to do squats. You can do hack squats. You can do leg press. You can do lunges. There's plenty of exercises that you can utilize. It basically it involves every other body part. So if something doesn't work for you, just change it up and try it. I remember Dave Tate. He was once asked which program is the best, and he responded that the best program is that you can stick to, basically. So choose a program, stick to it for like 12 weeks, and then do adjustments.
Shane?
I do the 7 to 10 strength exercises, and then the isolation, I always find that I just have to do high reps, because you can't 1 rep a bicep curl that easy. So I've always just done slightly higher, and just because it's much easier, well, not much easier, just it's as demanding doing slightly higher as it would be slightly lower on a deadlift or something like that. So I do 7-10 and then maybe 10-15 on the isolated or less complex movements.
Yeah, I would say Zandandito, just on an end cap. Make sure you have some kind of model or method for progression. So just simply adding more reps or more sets on there isn't going to guarantee it if you're not taking those sets close to failure. Like if you're not stopping, either going to complete failure or stopping 1 or 2 reps shy of it, it doesn't matter how much sets or reps, because you're just going to accumulate a bunch of junk volume. So find out which rep range works for you, and remember that isolation exercises have a smaller bandwidth or spectrum for overload, to where, like, say you start benching when you enter the gym as a noob, you're doing just the bar, then you go to 95, then 135, and you get really strong, you can bench 315 plus. Whereas a bicep curl, you might start out doing like 10 or 15s, and the max you'll ever get to is maybe 35s, 40s, or something if you're lucky. So you're at certain point, you're not going to be able to just add weight to the bar. You're going to have to either go for higher reps, do maybe some rest pause training, do cluster sets, do shrink the rest periods down, or increase the number of reps to where, say you're doing laterals with 15s and you can get 10 reps per set. So instead of trying to jump from 15 pounds up to the 20-pound dumbbells, try working your way up to like 15 reps per set or 20 reps per set from the research Schoenfeld and colleagues have done. I mean, as long as you're taking the muscles and exhausting them, getting to a high level of fatigue and approaching failure, you're going to be able to grow the same from lower reps or higher reps. Just find out which, and certain exercises are going to lend themselves better to certain rep ranges, like Shane was saying, like compound movements, heavy compound stuff, deads. I don't want to be doing 30 reps on back squats or deadlifts or anything like that, but 15, 20 reps on curls is much more manageable than doing 5 reps on curls. You're not going to destroy your elbows. So take everything and apply it astutely.
Amen.
Yes.
Only reps you don't grow from are the ones you don't do. Absolutely.
100%.
Hallelujah.
All right, here's one for Shane.
Oh,
It's Carbolin
Here's
worth
the
the
carb
money.
question. I've had it, but as I've said a dozen times, I only have two carbs a day, right? Two times, right? So I gotta be picky. I have oats in the morning because it just seems to sustain me better. And then post-workout, I've had the only one that I've liked of the fancy carbs, the premium carbs, outside of straight dextrose, is Carb 10. And it's only because it feels a little more filling, and I just don't seem to get as hungry fast. I know when I have glucose or dextrose, I get hungry pretty quickly, but it's not, compared to the other ones, it's not too much different. But again, Carb 10 is a lot pricier. You can't beat the price on straight dextrose. It's too good. And I'm poor, so I'm happy just to throw that shit down post-workout. And I mean, again, I've had it, didn't notice too much compared to, but that was me. I may not, I only have 2 carbs a day, whatever. So it's expensive.
Sean?
I like the Now brand, the Carb Gainer. That's what I use. I don't think it's actual dextrose, but it's not cyclo. But I use that as a carb addition.
Arbogain?
Yes,
I'm pulling up the panel right now to see what it is.
it's very basic.
I was just looking.
It's pure maltodextrin. Whoa. You can
No.
that's usually the one gives most people issues. So I'm surprised that you can it doesn't either bottom you out or lead you to a whole bunch of GI stress.
I only use a quarter of a scoop, though. I'm only doing 20 grams of it.
Oh, that's less than me. God damn, what are you doing?
I didn't say that's my
overdosing.
only carbs. I didn't say that's my only carbs, Shane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
was like, shit.
Shane, you're still the champ.
That's lightly dosed. It's 20 grams. Shit.
Lucas, have you messed with Carbolin? And if so, do you notice any extra benefits compared to other carb sources or just regular carbohydrates during the day?
No. That's not my thing. I'm sticking to old school stuff. When it comes to carbs, I'm going always with oatmeal, rice, cream of rice, those kind of things. But as far as powders, no, I never invest in them, and to me, it's a waste of money. Basically, I train fasted, so I don't need any fuel before my session. During my session, I never utilize anything, and post training, I eat my meal, which basically is meat.
Robbie?
I like cyclic dextrin. I mean, that's actually one of the reasons why we have it, because I'm a huge fan. I remember that we started actually making it, because besides the fact, the concrete data on it, I remember that I would also train on an empty stomach, especially if I did Muay Thai training. So sometimes I would feel like I need something pre-workout for that high intensity kicking and punching, but I couldn't handle a meal. Like it would not be possible for me. I would either throw up or just it didn't make me feel good. I mean, Robert, you can attest to it. Having a carb meal or any meal and going into martial arts training is just not something very cool. So I remember somebody suggested that I use just like something like chainsaw or something like that with a little bit of BCAs just for the hell of it. Just I would drive. It would take me over an hour to drive to my coach. So I would leave the house and I would mix just a large bottle of water with BCA for flavor and electrolytes, and I would add cyclic dextrin to it. And because it has no flavor or nothing, I wouldn't even feel it. But it was easy on my stomach because it digests so nicely, and I had absolutely zero issues in terms of training. But I definitely felt more power output, and I felt a lot better on it. Carbolin, I did try. I liked it. I definitely liked it, but I wouldn't say that it's all that. It's definitely, I think, for what you get, it's a little bit overpriced for sure.
Yeah, and Christopher, I would say what context are you using this? Are you just I don't want to say just are you training maybe just 3 or 4 days a week? I would really see these like high performance carbohydrates are really only beneficial if you're engaged in multiple bouts of training or competition a day, like a high school, college athlete, or maybe a pro bodybuilder that needs to slam down 4, 5, 6,000 calories a day. Or you're somebody that just has a really low appetite. But if you're your regular Jimmy or Joe, like the five of us here, just looking to improve body composition, get stronger, I don't think carbohydrate powders like Carbolin are really necessarily. I wouldn't put them in my top 5 or 10 things that you need in a supplement plan. I think those dollars can be put to either better food or some other supplements that might be more worthwhile. Question for Robbie. Have you tried mixing DMAA with any other pre-workout since your hooligan DMAA mix a few weeks ago?
Logan, is that a payback? I tried actually mixing hooligan with DMHA and area durancis, and I think I liked it a little bit more than DMA. DMA never actually agreed with me that much. I mean, I felt great mixing it, and it was a lot of fun. I was in a very, very good mood. I just felt, I just felt like DMHA and area durancis gave me a little bit more in terms of performance. And typically with DMA, I would crash, although I didn't crash with this one. But DMHA, just in terms of training itself, I always felt a little bit better on DMHA, and the combination with area durancis always was great. The only thing I regret not adding to this mix was hordenine, because I feel like whenever I add hordenine to area durancis specifically, I feel like I get better results.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but there was this cool ingredient, AMP citrate. You guys remember it?
Oh, yeah.
That gave me such a fucking huge headache. I tried it twice, and the headache was just insane. Like, it was pretty bad. It was similar to what Robert usually, has in terms of migraines. It fucked me up. I tried it once, and I thought it was maybe just coincidence. Tried it the second time, exactly the same results.
So
but a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say, if someone out there wants to try something cool, mix up AMP citrate, 1/3